South Korea Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun, who is believed to have recommended hours-long martial law that turned the Asia country into political turmoil since last week Tuesday, have been arrested on Sunday after he had resigned last Wednesday, and others believed to be involved in the martial law decision have been placed on travel ban with the ruling People Power Party (PPP), saying the president, Yoon Suk Yeol, would no longer be able to travel or participate in foreign and domestic affairs until he resigned. Bae Sang-up, a Justice Ministry official, had told a parliamentary hearing that the South Korea Justice Ministry has banned President Yoon from leaving the country following requests by police, prosecutors and an anti-corruption agency as they expand their investigations into the circumstances surrounding Yoon's power grab. AP International News Agency reported that, while a sitting South Korean president has immunity from prosecution while in office, that doesn't extend to allegations of rebellion or treason. This means that Yoon can be questioned and detained by police over his martial law decree, but many observers doubt that police will forcefully detain him because of the potential for clashes with his presidential security service. They also say the security service won't likely permit searches of Yoon's office, citing a law that prohibits searches on sites with state secrets without approval from those in charge of those areas. In the case of former President Park Geun-hye, who was thrown out of office in 2017 after being impeached by parliament over a corruption scandal, prosecutors failed to search her office and ended up receiving documents outside the compound because presidential officials turned them away. After refusing to meet with prosecutors while in office, Park underwent questioning by them and was arrested after the Constitutional Court approved her impeachment and ruled to dismiss her as president in March 2017. Meanwhile, Reuters reported that South Korea's main opposition party said on Tuesday it would pass a government budget bill for 2025 that triggered President Yoon Suk Yeol's martial law decree last week, at a plenary session scheduled to be held later in the day. The opposition-controlled parliament last month cut 4.1 trillion won from the government's proposed 677.4 trillion won, $473 billion budget. "We will pass the budget bill today," Democratic Party leader Lee Jae-myung said. A swift passage of the bill will help resolve the current uneasiness and crisis. The government says the budget cut will paralyze basic government functions, hinder responses to external challenges and delay policy measures for small businesses and the vulnerable. President Yoon cited opposition obstructionism over government budgets as one justification for his martial law decree on December 3rd, which triggered a constitutional crisis in Asia's fourth-largest economy. Senior Democratic Party lawmaker Park Chan-dae said if the government needed money for spending for people's livelihoods, it can be solved later through an extra budget. Although Yoon narrowly avoided impeachment during a parliamentary vote on Saturday, United States of America, US-backed Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF and Turkey-backed Islam-led Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS have pushed out Iran and Russia-backed President Bashar al-Assad from Syria, with U.S. President-elect Donald Trump calling President Joe Biden and other government officials at the White House warmongers trying to cause World War III, distancing USA from the civil crisis in Damascus. Local media reported with videos that Christians in Damascus gathered at a church Saturday night to pray for guidance as the opposition Islamic and Kurdish rebels closed in on Damascus. Some of the local media added that the fall of Damascus could mark the end of a 2,000-year-old Christian presence in the city. On Sunday early morning, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad boarded a plane and left Damascus for an unknown destination, two senior army officers told Reuters, as rebels said they had entered the capital with no sign of army deployments. Syria's army command also notified officers that President Bashar al-Assad's rule ended following a lightning rebel offensive. A Syrian officer who was informed of the move stated, according to Reuters, with Syrian rebels saying, Damascus is now free of Assad. According to unverified information, The plane that might have been carrying Assad out of Damascus had gone into sharp descent and disappeared from the radars. There has been no official information, but a check showed that as at on Sunday early morning, a Syrian airplane took off from Damascus airport around the time the capital was reported to have been taken by rebels, according to data from the flight radar website. The aircraft initially flew towards Syria's coastal region, a stronghold of Assad's Alawite sect, but then made an abrupt U-turn and flew in the opposite direction for a few minutes before disappearing off the map. Iran had earlier started to evacuate military commanders from Syria, in a sign that the regime is losing faith in Bashar al-Assad's ability to hold back a rebel uprising which started newly on November 27, 2024, advancing faster unlike since the civil war in Syria began in 2011. Tehran has sent commanders and staff back to neighboring Lebanon and Iraq, the New York Times reported, citing 3 Iranian officials and regional officials. The renewed fighting in Syria had brought into focus the role of foreign powers in the country. Turkey, Iran, Russia and the US have all deployed troops in Syria since 2011, while Israel mounts frequent airstrikes in Syrian territory. The surprise rebel offensive advanced so quickly that its troops were, as of Saturday, within 12 miles 20 kilometers of the southern gate of Damascus, Hassan Abdul Ghani, the rebel commander, said. Israel Ministry of Foreign Affairs in a statement on Saturday, said, over the past 24 hours, armed forces have entered the buffer zone on the Syrian side of the border with Israel. Among other actions, attacks were carried out against United Nations Disengagement Force. Lawmakers in South Korea on Saturday failed to carry out their planned impeachment of President Yoon Suk Yeol, who earlier in the week declared few-hours-long martial law which was condemned and resisted by both the president's ruling political party, People Power Party, PPP, and the opposition Democratic Party, DP, but today, the PPP boycotted the impeachment process with the party leader saying the president would resign. The impeachment process failed as many lawmakers refused to vote and the parliament could not gather enough votes required to impeach a president in South Korea. After the impeachment failed, the president's political party, PPP, said that it could not allow a repeat of the 2016 impeachment of the then-President Park Geun-hye, who left office after months of candlelit protests over an influence peddling scandal. Her downfall triggered the implosion of the party and a victory by liberals in presidential and general elections, according to Reuters. We cannot repeat the tragedy of paralysis of state affairs and suspension of constitutional government through the impeachment of the president, PPP spokesperson, Shildong UK said, adding that Yoon had apologized and had vowed to leave his future up to the party. Thousands of demonstrators holding candles and lights flooded the streets outside Parliament on Friday and Saturday nights, demanding Yoon's impeachment. At least 8 votes were needed from Yoon's PPP to reach the 2/3 majority needed to impeach the president. But PPP lawmakers departed after casting votes on a separate motion, even when some people shouted and cursed them. Only 3 lawmakers from Yoon's party voted in the impeachment process, according to Reuters. President Yoon had earlier on Saturday morning addressed the nation in a televised speech to apologize for the move, and said he would face whatever repercussions there would be, but he did not offer to resign. Yoon said he would put his fate in the hands of the PPP. I caused anxiety and inconvenience to the public. I sincerely apologize. I will leave it up to our party to stabilize the political situation in the future, including my term of office, Yoon said in a televised address. After the failed impeachment vote, PPP leader, Han Dong-hoon said the party had decided that Yoon would resign. The declaration of martial law was a clear and serious violation of the law, Han told reporters. Reuters reported that Han has a history of clashes with Yoon, but it was unclear if he was speaking for all PPP members. There was no word yet from Yoon on Han's comments. The People Power Party will pursue an orderly departure of the president in order to minimize confusion for the people, Han said, adding that until Yoon leaves, he would be effectively excluded from his duties, and the Prime Minister will consult with the party to manage state affairs, Han said. National Assembly Speaker Yoon Suk Yeol appealed for the PPP lawmakers to return to their seats during the impeachment voting process but to no avail. The opposition needed at least 8 votes from the PPP but only 3.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.